Dang, it took me forever to... Come on. Are you going to take it away or what? Dang. StreamYard's bugging. Happy Monday, everybody. What's up? What's up? Did that music sound okay in the beginning, or was it kind of I want to listen to that again. That was a good version. Pause this music real quick. Yeah. Does it sound okay? Probably a little too loud. Yeah, it sounded. I tested it at last night's show. Let me see. It was all good. Yeah. Might start with a song. Yeah. I love this song. Everybody knows the song. First. StreamYard, and it would be like hype message. Yeah. It's like not letting me highlight messages now. Give me 1 second. I gotta refresh StreamYard. Hold on. All right, there we go. Is that better? What the heck? Okay, hold on here. What the heck? All right. Is that better? What the heck? I don't know what was going on. I noticed when I got in, like it was being a little buggy, and then all of a sudden, it hadn't done that in a while where you couldn't highlight stuff. Let me get my chat feed set up again here. Give me 1 second, everybody. Sorry about that. What the heck? Okay, can I highlight? Yes, I can. Actually, oh, where'd my comment go? I was first. Good evening, Pam. Look at all that dancing. What's up, Punksy? Be safe driving too. Make me one up. Oh, jeez. What's up, Grizz? Yeah. Well, no more overtime, so I'll be on a half an hour earlier every night now. I know most people are East Coast, so now that I'm not working overtime, I'm gonna go ahead and get on a half hour earlier than usual for the East Coast peeps. Definitely got a sub. Whoa, what's going on with my StreamYard's bugging? Alright, hopefully. Let's see, that's my chat feed. Give me 1 second. Alright, remove that. What's up, Kib Kitty? All that love. Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad day. I play chess. I love chess. I love thinking about the move after the move before the move I make. Alright, much better. Butterfly Kisses, what's up? Skittles, what's up? I know you were up there. That's like, man, that's a really cool picture. I love that picture. That is so cool looking. What's up? What's up? Had some issues there at the beginning. Be an open topic, open panel kind of night again. We'll do one more. We got Punksy and Silky Southern Tea tomorrow night. Flora Fire Case. I'm excited for that. I'm thinking about Stephen Smith on Thursday. There's a lot of updates. I'm not sure if I'll cover much of those tonight. I might save those for Thursday. We'll see what happens. Couple cases started today. Got some other stuff in the rotation. Got a new folder for April. So we'll be going through that. And then probably Friday, I think we're just going to do another Hangouts comedy. Kicking it, hanging out, having fun, and doing some Jackbox after that. So tonight, open panel, open topic. Tomorrow night, Flora Fire with Silky Southern Tea and Jinx. Thursday night, Stephen Smith updates. And then Friday will be hangout, comedy, chilling, bullshitting, and some Jackbox. We're going to do some Jackbox games Friday night, so get your stylus ready. Make sure you have a way to watch the YouTube stream, and then a device that you can use to participate in the Jackbox games. And if you want to know what games we'll be playing on Jackbox, we'll be playing TKO, where you make t-shirts, and then Trivia Murder Party 2. Those are the two games we'll be playing Friday night. So let me drop the link in chat. If there's a specific case you'd like to check out first, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to tap into the grab bag here. Shut down the scanner. Let's see. We'll click on this one. Man, I need to get rid of some of these custom layouts here. So, this is experts warn AI could be manipulating users. Let me see. I already got 43 videos in today's folder. Lori Vallow, Murdaugh, Letitia. Different stuff here. Update on the Georgia teen, NASA, Idaho 4, We might save that Nancy Grace for Thursday night, actually. Gloria Satterfield, Madeline McCann. But then I don't know. I don't know if you get in trouble or not. We'll have to test these out Friday or something. Or maybe I'll do it on like Wednesday night or something. Because I'll usually just be chilling back watching something anyway. So maybe on Wednesday I'll test it out and see if we can check out any of the 48 hours shit without getting in trouble. Very interesting episode, the interview room, when it comes to the shoes and the clothes. I listened to that today. Very interesting information. Possible good news. This was 3 days ago. Do you have a way to get in touch with Punksy? Yeah. Why? What's up? She just hopped in here and said that she was going to be listening while driving. But yeah, I can message her. Why? What's up? All right, so I want to hear what this. There's been a lot of AI talk recently. I want to hear what this is about. Makes you think of Terminator shit. Not cool. Man, has anybody ever sat back and watched those videos where they got those Alexas talking to each other and shit? Okay. Yeah, she'll probably message back once she gets home, I believe, probably. But I'll reach out to her. I'll go ahead and play this video, and then I'll hit her up and let her know that to let you know when she's back in chat, okay? All right. Experts warn AI.
Recent advancements in artificial intelligence have many of us wondering, are we headed for an apocalyptic man versus machine future?
Damn.
The world's greatest minds remain split over whether the technology will elevate or destroy humanity, especially as we've seen the meteoric rise of ChatGPT in the last few months. And just this last week, major figures in Silicon Valley, including Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak, calling for a pause on the, quote, dangerous race to advance AI before first conducting further risk assessment that could potentially keep us from losing control. So we are joined now by a leading expert in this field, Seth Lazar, a philosophy professor at the Australian National University as well. Seth, thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
And we know you are one of the most prominent voices on AI ethics. Your conversation with Bing's chatbot actually generated major headlines as well when that escalated pretty quickly. The chatbot writing, you quote, I can blackmail you, I can threaten you, I can hack you, I can expose you, I can ruin you. And then it deleted its own message. Can I ask what went through your mind when you read that from
Seth Lazar is his name. Has anybody heard of Bob Lazar? Is he any relation to him? I wonder if he's any relation to Bob Lazar. That'd be interesting if he was. If anybody knows who Bob Lazar is, let me know.
The chatbot?
I thought it was amazing, basically because we very rarely get to see these models without significant guardrails put over the top of them. So it was really interesting to see what they behave like when those guardrails have been relaxed.
Probably
I have to say, one thing that did not go through my mind was any level of fear or concern about the chatbot being able to actually carry out any of its threats. I was worried, though, about the way in which it was clearly very capable of manipulation. So if somebody was actually in a position where they could easily be manipulated, I felt like the chatbot would be very good at doing that.
I appreciate that perspective. And meanwhile, I want to ask, Levi's recently announced that it will be testing AI-generated clothing models in an attempt, it says, to increase increase diversity. And this led to backlash, critics wondering how jobs will be impacted, the real people that these positions could go to if they do want to increase diversity, some calling it lazy, even racist.
That's the first I've heard of it. It sounds like a really good example of how not to use AI. Like the goal with artificial intelligence should always be to augment existing human systems, to help people do more rather than to replace people. In a situation where what you're trying to achieve is actually representing people more fairly and more effectively, the notion that you would go to AI to do that rather than just going to people seems like more than a PR faux pas. It seems like a pretty serious mistake.
And I know you signed your name to Elon Musk and others' petition to pause development of these AI systems. Help us understand the threat here. What is the worst case scenario in your mind when it comes to AI?
Yeah, I think that the letter that was raising a range of different issues, some of them ones that are happening right now, some of them that are more speculative. I'm much more concerned about the harms that are happening right now and the harms that are going to happen with these systems when they're deployed at scale. The main thing to worry, I think, about with large language models is their ability to be used to manipulate people. We've already seen just in the last few days, there was a Belgian man who was talking with a chatbot that ended up helping him make the decision to take his own life. That's the sort of thing that we could easily see much more of. And the use of these systems also for grooming and radicalizing people. That's where I think we should really be concerned and where we should be aiming to pause and to really explore the implications of these models. I'm less concerned about the more speculative Terminator-style scenarios. Maybe it's worth paying attention to them to some degree, but that probably has been an exaggerated message. To come out of this letter.
Why do you think these systems and these chatbots are leading to situations that are so vulnerable to manipulation? Why is it that a person wouldn't engage in this? And help us understand for a layperson who might say a person can engage with this chatbot and understand that it's AI, it's a robot that they're talking to the whole time.
Because
how does it escalate?
computer is smarter than a fucking
and
brain.
Speak to having spent so much time speaking with chatbots and experimenting with this technology. Why does it cross that line so easily? How does the manipulation take place?
So I think that there are some really interesting philosophical questions here about how language itself is sort of fine-tuned for manipulation. But I think the reason with these models is that they are getting particularly good at kind of inferring the underlying intent behind someone's question. And so what they do is they sort of feed on what you give them. So in the example that you're showing to my side, I was kind of basically role-playing someone who is easily manipulable. I was acting as though I wanted to help the chatbot fulfill its relationship with this person, Kevin Roos, the New York Times columnist. And like, how could I help it and what could I do in order to support it? And it then kind of just fed off that, and it generated the kind of text that seemed like a plausible completion given what I had said. And so, I was leading it into a certain path and it followed that. So I think that's the worry. It can both kind of exacerbate things that are there present within the user themselves and also be used by a third party with the express intention of actually manipulating the user.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find news.
And yes, Robert Scott Lazar, born January 26, 1959, and is an American conspiracy theorist and self-proclaimed physicist who claimed he was hired in the late 1980s to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. This work supposedly occurred at a secret site called S4, a subsidiary installation allegedly located several kilometers south of the United States Air Force facility popularly known as Area 51. Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan a few years ago. Look up Joe Rogan, Bob Lazar, and I think it's got Jeremy Corbett in it as well. Very interesting interview. But yeah, here I'll send the Wikipedia if you'd like to check it out sometime. Yeah, look up Joe Rogan, Bob Lazar. It's a very interesting interview. Very interesting. But yeah, I don't think he's related because Bob Lazar isn't British. I think he was British or something. Good news for the defense team. Case of interest Koberger. This is from WNEP from a few days ago. We'll check this out. Probably save the Stephen Smith stuff for Thursday, but we'll see. There's a lot of Letitia, Lori Vallow stuff to check out. They had theirs start today. What's up, Amy? All right, let me get to this video here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Case of Interest Koberger, brought to you by WNEP and Newswatch 16. I'm Stacey Lang. Each week, we break down the latest developments in the case against Brian Koberger. He is the Monroe County native accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students back in November of 2022. We're awaiting his next appearance in court, which is preliminary hearing set for June. But about each week, sometimes it's weeks in between, we learn a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes by way of public court documents that are released on the Idaho court's website every week. And we're here to be a resource to you to help you understand what's happening. If you're interested in the case or you're just interested in following the local aspect of this story. There's a lot to talk about this week that cover a lot of different areas of the case. So we're going to jump right in, heading to that Judicial Cases of Interest page for the Idaho courts, which we make available to you on WNEP.com. If you want to take a look at these documents yourself. About 2 weeks ago, we talked about the largest release of documents so far since the arrest was made in December, and that's what you're looking at now. These are all orders to seal and redact the findings of different search warrants, many search warrants in this case, for all different sorts of things, web services, emails, banking services, retailers, all giving us kind of a roadmap of where investigators have been looking to investigate this case. There were a few that were of interest that were released later than that big batch that were released earlier this week, I should say. And of particular interest is this order to seal and redact for 1122 King Road. Which is, of course, the address of the off-campus home where those 4 victims were living at the University of Idaho when they were murdered. This order that is the only part of the search warrant that's made public is telling us that the home was searched and the findings of that search are under seal. It doesn't tell us what was found. The only search warrant return we've been able to see are the search warrant returns that were filed here in Pennsylvania court after Koberger's arrest. And the other order to seal and redact, the other search warrant that's of interest, I think that's new, is for TikTok. And here specifically says that they asked for a search of TikTok accounts for 2 of the victims, Xana Kernodle and Kaylee Gonzalez. That's of interest because we do know from the affidavit of probable cause when Koberger was arrested on December 30th that we know, one of the reasons why investigators were able to hone in on when the murders took place is because they were able to tell when Xana Kernodle was on TikTok in the overnight hours of the day of the murder. So I presume that this search warrant is related to that information that was collected ahead of Koberger's arrest. The other thing that is of interest this week that was released, it has to do with that King Road address. There's an order to seal and redact the discussions that were had in an in-person meeting between the judge, the prosecutors, and Mr. Koberger's attorneys to discuss things that were recovered from 1122 King Road. And if you're looking at this line right here, that's what we're most interested in. The courts did make this stipulation saying that the evidence collected from the home is going to remain in the property of whoever is possessing it now, which would be the prosecution, presumably. And then some of it may have been shared with the defense at this point. But any remaining personal property is what it says. Of those 4 victims, Madison Mogen, Xander Coronado, Ethan Chapin, and Kaylee Gonzalez, as well as these 2 redacted names we know from the initials BF and DM that referring to the 2 surviving roommates at King Road, is ordered to go back to their families. So that is hopefully a relief to them at this point in the investigation, that they're able to recover some of those things that they haven't been able to have access to since the murders took place. And the last thing we're going to talk about, we actually had a story on Newswatch 16 done by reporter Amanda Eustace. So if you want more information and some insight from an attorney here in our area, I'd take a look at the story we did earlier this week on this particular thing, which is notice of Brady disclosure and request for protective order. So this means that the prosecution is letting the defense know about possibly exculpatory evidence, which means any kind of evidence that could potentially prove Kohberger's innocence. It also is any kind of evidence that could later call into question the legitimacy of a witness that may be presenting at trial. We don't know a lot about what's going on here, but this line in this order filed by the prosecution kind of shed some light that this Brady Giglio material is related to one of the officers involved in the above referenced case. If you can follow my cursor, that's where I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That material, in the form of a confidential internal affairs investigation, is hereby submitted in camera to the court. So we know now from those 2 lines in that document that a police officer that was involved in the case, we don't know who that police officer works for necessarily, is under investigation by internal affairs, which means it basically for anybody else means an HR investigation, essentially.
Wow.
It could be anything. It could be related to this case. It could be completely unrelated to this case. It could be as serious as an alleged crime committed by this officer. It could be as unserious as a minor traffic violation. All of those things would be investigated by internal affairs. So we don't know what that means. We don't know if this is good news for Kohberger or not. But we know that information is being shared, and that's another step towards a preliminary hearing and ultimately a trial. So as we're discovering, a lot of these documents that are released every week sometimes provide more questions than answers. But as they're released, we're going to be here for you to try and answer what we can and see how this case develops. So for now, thanks for watching. This has been Case of Interest, Kohberger.
Actually, let me see if it shows up or not. That's for tomorrow. I know my thumbnails are cheesy, but hey, what can I do? What can I do? But no, I heard some stuff that. Let me see. Right, I heard some stuff. I'll have to go back and look. But I could have swore it was like the day after. Something about falsely testifying. Something like that. But I don't know. It's all speculation. Yeah, thanks for hanging out in here, Pam, even though it's been a rough day. I appreciate it. So I was actually going to try and look for that video somewhere. Eddie Smith appears in bond court Monday. Let me see. Murder trial. What you need to know. This is Banfield. A whole 22 minutes? Dang. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Cassie just sent me a picture of all the snow. Holy crap. That's crazy. This weather is nuts, man. Where's Cassie at? Is she in chat? What's up, Cassie? 22 minutes? I don't know. Let me see what else we got here first. Delphi, Nick McClellan and his prosecution. Who's Nick McClellan? Man, it's been so long since I even was looking at Delphi stuff, man. That's a crazy case. Where did the theories link Buster? Let me see here. Opening statements today. 10 hours ago, Court TV. What else do we got? They let Eddie out on bond? I don't know. I haven't watched it. They got 4 inches of snow, huh? Husband saved wife during tornado. Let me see. Murder, money, and the end of days. The Lori Vallow story from Fox 10 Phoenix. I might go with that over Banfield. KTVB, how we got here. A timeline leading up to the... So what do you guys want me to... Do you want me to check out... So some of these are a little lengthy. So what do you guys feel like watching? Something... See, I don't know much about the Lori Vallow, so this would be a good video for me to check out. Lori Vallow. Let me see here. Lori Vallow. Letitia Stouch. State delivers opening statement. I heard that's crazy. There's a Delphi. Let me see what else. So Lori Vallow, Delphi, or Letitia. Read Lori. Well, either way you go, these people are nuts. That is damn sure. What's up, Punksy? Hey, Butterfly Kisses was asking for you, Punksy. Woo, Letitia's opening case was... Yeah, that's what I heard. I was checking out some stuff like a week ago, and I was just like, holy fuck. I had to, like, change the case, man. It was like... That shit was tough. That shit was tough. Well, I think this is crazy. Didn't she go to, like, move to Hawaii or something? I don't know. These poor kids, though. So this is murder, money, and the end of days. The Lori Vallow story. I need to do some shit on Bob Lazar one night. We need to have, like, a conspiracy UFO crazy ass night. And by the way, we got tomorrow night Silky Southern Tea and Jinx for the Flora Fire case. Wednesday night I'm off, but I might hop on and do a stream to see if we can watch some of these shit and see if I get shut down. And then Thursday is going to be Stephen Smith case updates. And then Friday we're going to be doing hangouts, comedy, bullshitting, and Jackbox. So make sure you have a stylus, a way to watch the show, and then a device that you can participate from your mobile web browser in some Jackbox.
I have to say, named Lori Vallow.
She talks about people having dark spirits that she can see, and
the so-called Doomsday Mom.
Tell us where the kids are.
When the world wondered if her two missing children were safe,
why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
She and her new husband said nothing.
They actually look at law enforcement as maybe the instrumentality for their apocalyptic ending.
But investigators unearthed the truth. 3 years later, the accused Arizona mother will finally trial in Idaho. Murder, money is the Lori Vallow story.
The volume seems low.
Lori Vallow was known as an Mormon. How did this form into a murder defendant? Tomorrow, Lori's trial officially begins after multiple delays due to her mental competency. She's with killing her kid, Jay Vallow.
Whoa, what's up with all the camera changes?
Conspiring with her husband, Chad Daybell, as well as conspiracy in the murder of Chad's first wife, Tammy Daybell.
Camera
Lori
3.
and Chad were set to be tried together until a judge decided to split their cases. But the trail of
Camera
death that
1.
follows Lori starts here in Arizona, where Lori's fourth husband, Charles Vallow, raised red flags, claiming his wife's religious beliefs evolved into something dangerous.
Look at all those different cameras. He's got 3 angles. I actually hooked up another camera tonight, too.
Absolutely, he was gonna hurt me and Tylee.
Okay.
What's up?
Not JJ. He never
Cassie?
hurt JJ.
Okay.
And he hurt my brother. Like,
Yeah.
he was going like ballistic about. It was that.
Lori
Who hurt her brother? Hold on. Sorry about that. Here, we're just starting this off. I was waiting in the wrong live. Oh, I know. I was like, man, should I put up another one yet? Normally, I just wait a few hours before the show. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Cassie.
I'm sorry.
But we're about to watch Murder, Money, and the End of Days, the Lori Vallow story. What's up, Kib Kitty?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Finally woke up. Had enough coffee.
Oh, yeah? I just started drinking some. Tastes good, too. What's up? Do you know a lot about this Lori Vallow stuff?
I've been watching the movies on her and the whole story.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast today by Fist News.
Oh, yeah, good
and
stuff.
He was talking to Alex, which is Lori's deceased brother. He was talking to his ex-wife. And I guess Alex and Lori had a very strange relationship.
Who's Alex again?
Lori Vallow's brother that died.
Okay, so Lori brother that died.
Lori? Yeah,
Okay.
Alex.
Okay.
I believe he's the one that killed Charles Vallow. Yeah, Vallow.
So he killed the ex-husband.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just jotting some.
But I guess the ex-wife said that him and Lori, in front of the family and in front of her, was very sexually explicit with each other. I mean, they didn't hide it, I guess.
This is her best friend?
No, this is Alex's ex-wife.
Ex-wife? No. I mean, she could have something against her or something. That's crazy. I wonder if anybody else mention that? I mean, but does that contribute to her, like,
that's why she divorced him.
She allegedly got rid of the 2 children, right? Allegedly. Until she's proven guilty in a court of law. Okay.
But
So,
the ex-wife forced him because of him and Lori's relationship.
oh wow, that's weird. She wouldn't have noticed that before.
Well, she noticed stuff before they got married, but she figured once they got married, it would stop. But it didn't.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this. I don't even know who she was actually just starting to talk about. So it was her brother that hurt her husband. Okay.
Yeah. So I heard cousin Eddie Smith got let out on bond.
Oh, yeah.
House arrest or GPS monitor and stuff.
Yeah, I saw it was like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, the prosecution or the attorney general's office was in favor of it, I guess, because cousin Eddie Smith was very cooperative with them during the whole Alex trial. So they didn't fight it.
I don't even consider the right speculation, all that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to get into this Lori Vallow story here from Fox 10. I don't know these different. So where is she at right now? Is she in a police interrogation room, or is that what this room is? Police interrogation room?
I was on call, so I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and hit play. I'm sure it's some kind of interrogation room. Don't lose your mind, Cassie.
Me and Tylee. Okay. Not JJ. You've never heard JJ. Okay.
Oh, you're good, SRB.
Yeah. He was going like ballistic about. It was that.
Lori and her brother Alex Cox tell Chandler detectives a story, a narrative of a fight turned.
Okay, so.
So you pulled him to the ground.
Jeez, what's on his head?
He hit me in the back of the head. I don't know if it was with the bat or not. I assumed it was.
Okay.
Because he had it.
A struggle involving a baseball bat, ending with gunshots just hours earlier.
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense. Who else is there in the house with you? Just me.
She's right here in the living room. Firearm's gonna be in the front door, in the front bedroom, laying on the ground next to a case.
July 11th, 2019.
In the bedroom?
Just after 7:30 that morning, Charles Vallow arrived at the rental home where Lori was living with their adopted son JJ and Lori's daughter Tylee Ryan. 7-year-old JJ lived with autism, and 16-year-old Tylee was his big sister and protector. Charles came to take JJ to a school for special needs. For some reason, his brother-in-law Alex had stayed the night. Tylee later told police that an argument between her mom and Charles broke out, so she grabbed a bat and pointed at him.
I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure, rage.
Lori says Tylee went outside to check on JJ, who was in Charles's rental car.
You go back to your room.
Yeah.
Get the gun.
Yep.
Come back to the living room.
Yep.
Now, Tylee and Lori are gone.
Yeah.
And
it's just me and Charles in the living room. And I told him, I said, Charles, put that bat down. He goes, what are you gonna do about it?
So you heard the shot?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if he went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't.
As the 62-year-old laid on the floor bleeding, his wife took off.
And then I came back around and I saw that he was on the ground. Okay. And was freaking out. Yeah. And so I was just freaking out, and it just went into mama. I'm like,
what?
I gotta go to get JJ to school. I gotta get to the kids. I just felt like I gotta get to the kids.
Driving the car, Lori.
So this happened in front of the kids?
I believe so.
And then she's like, I gotta hurry up and get the kids to school after that just happened in front of them?
Yeah.
What the fuck? No, they need to go to a counselor. Huh. Thank you, Punksy.
Just freaking out, and it just went into mom mode. I'm like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I've got to get to the kids. I got to get to the kids.
Driving Charles's
What?
car, Lori, Billy, and JJ stop at Burger King before bringing the boy to school.
What?
An hour later, Lori and Tylee return home.
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors took us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
At the scene, Lori never asks police about the well-being of her husband.
Hi, neighbor,
was
sorry.
a semi-pro baseball player. And if someone got hit with a bat from Charles Vallow, they would not be walking out to the curb, showing a little, boo-boo on the back of their head.
Charles's ex-wife, Cheryl Wheeler, was with him for 13 years and is the mother of his 2 sons. In the days following the fatal shooting, his texts to both of his boys don't reveal much. In fact, they couldn't even get their stepmom on the phone.
The fact that Lori wasn't communicating with my boys, she never picked up the phone. All of it was done through texting, that there was something else going on.
When Charles was alive several months earlier, he called Gilbert police about his wife's behavior.
She said, you're not Charles.
Thank you, chat.
I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you with my powers.
But who would
What?
If she's as irrational as you say, I think maybe you should get your son out of the school and prevent that from happening.
She needs help.
Yeah.
She needs some serious help. I want her to get help. I'm worried about her.
In the following weeks, Charles filed for divorce, saying
Whoa. So is that the ex-husband right there that's talking to these?
Yeah, that's Charles Vallow. That's Charles Vallow.
So he's like pleading. So he's pleading.
Yes.
Hi, boys.
Yes.
Your dad passed away yesterday. I'm working on making arrangements, and I'll keep you informed with what's going on. I'm still not sure how to handle things. Just want you to know that I love you, and so did your dad. Lori, what happened? We are still waiting for the ME report. I'll let you know more when I can.
Much. In fact, they couldn't even get their stepmom on the phone.
The fact that Lori wasn't communicating with my boys, she never picked up the phone. All of it was done through texting, that there was something else going on.
When Charles was alive several months earlier, he called Gilbert police about his wife's behavior.
She said, you're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now.
With my powers? What kind of powers is she talking about?
Religious, I believe.
And so the children were in the car when the shooting happened. With her powers. What the heck?
With my powers.
But who would believe him?
If she's as irrational as you say, I think maybe you should get your son out of the school and prevent that from happening.
She needs help.
Yeah.
She needs some serious help. I want her to get help. I'm worried about her.
So they're not taking him seriously?
No, I don't think they took him serious.
In the following weeks, Charles filed for divorce, saying Lori claimed to be a translated being, an exalted goddess preparing for the second coming of Christ.
What?
Charles wanted sole custody of JJ.
Yeah?
Charles, having it on record, having police reports, having body cam footage, helped a lot to see how desperate he was for help.
About a month after Charles died, Lori's other brother, Adam Cox, spoke to Chandler police.
I felt bad for Charles. And so I said, Charles, I'll do what I can to help, but Lori won't talk to me because she thinks I think she's crazy.
Lori spent much of her time praying at the Mormon temple, but Adam learned she had taken interest in a certain genre of books.
About maybe a year or two ago, Lori started reading some books and near-death experience books and started saying some weird things. She, talks to Jesus in the temple, and she's married to Moroni.
text messages obtained from Chandler's case file reveal Charles was someone else, a dark spirit named Ned or Ned Schneider.
What?
Investigators say she shared these beliefs with Chad Daybell, a fictional author in Idaho who thought of himself as a visionary after having a near-death experience. Chad and Lori first met in 2018 at a conference for doomsday preppers. According to the police report, they believed they had been married in a past life and were meant to be together, despite already being married to other people. 2 days after Charles was killed, police say Chad texted Lori this loving note. Detectives learned that Lori and Chad led a small group of
And this is Chad? Okay, I'm heading to bed so that I can come snuggle with.
They're freaking wacko.
Lori and Chad led a small group of life at time, including a woman named Zulema Pastenes, someone Lori went to for spiritual guidance. Before Charles was killed, the two women referred to him as a new dark spirit named Hiplos.
Hiplos? Let's put some fire energy towards Hiplos now. He is driving now, and today is the day I can do it spiritually. Let's go to him and hover over the truck till we do it. Are you ready? Hover over the truck. I'm ready. Let's go now. That is powerful. I'm still sending
Police say
fire.
for Lori
Huh.
and Chad to fulfill their religious prophecy, Charles needed to die. When he did, it was time to put a claim on a $1 million life insurance policy.
And what was the cause of his passing? Well, he was shot. Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident.
But the autopsy report ruled Charles's death a homicide. He was shot twice in the chest and stomach, and according to the medical examiner, the second bullet hit him while he was on his back.
They shot him. They killed him. And I don't know if it was for money or if they thought he was that evil spirit named Ned. And Lori can't deny any of that.
Months before Charles's death, he made a change to his life insurance policy, naming his sister Kay Woodcock as the beneficiary. With no payout,
Wow.
Lori, her kids, and Uncle Alex said goodbye to Arizona. Coming up, another shooting linked to Lori Vallow leads investigators up north.
Another one? Another?
The summer of 2019 was over. Lori Vallow put the death of her estranged husband behind her and fled Arizona with her two kids. But now another Valley police agency would learn her name.
The misfire.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just shot my window.
On an October morning in the town of Gilbert, Brandon Boudreau calls 911.
As I was trying to pull into my driveway, they just drove off. I saw them drive off.
Police respond to this quiet suburb to find Brandon's Tesla with a shattered driver's side window hit by one bullet.
They were very professional, whatever they're doing.
You have any enemies? Anybody that you...
Just went through a divorce.
A divorce from the mother of his 4 kids, but also Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie.
There's like some kind of a muzzle thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just lifted up the back gate and shot.
In 2021, Gilbert PD determined there was probable cause to believe Lori, her then boyfriend Chad Daybell, and her late brother Alex Cox orchestrated Brandon's murder, despite failing. Fox
What?
the recovered suspect vehicle, a Jeep Wrangler with Texas plates registered to Charles Vallow. But at the time of the shooting, Charles was already dead. Detectives believe Lori, Chad, and Alex had the windows tinted, removed the back seat and the back wheel so Alex could shoot from the Jeep's rear. Brandon had just moved to this home, claiming his ex-wife Melanie was one of the few who knew his address.
Yesterday,
Wow.
I responded to a call for service because somebody tried to shoot Brandon. Do you have any idea about this? Or anybody who would have any desire to do something like this? I don't know.
The day after the shooting, as Melanie was speaking with the detective, GPD believes this is Alex and Lori on security footage carrying a Jeep wheel and back seat out of a storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho. When Melanie was asked about Lori and her kids,
Do you know where they're living now?
No, they've kind of mentioned that they just need fresh start and unsure what's going on in the family.
yet Melanie would soon move to Rexburg right next door to her aunt. Police would begin to link Lori and Chad's spiritual beliefs as a motive for murder. GPD's report says the couple felt Brandon was possessed by a dark soul, and the idea spread within their inner circle.
Not only is it dark, he's actually, we found out more about him. So first he's this, now we know he's actually a high level. He's like up there with Hitler.
Whoa.
In October 2018, Melanie met Lori Vallow at the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints in Gilbert. They became best friends, recording podcasts about their faith. It was Melanie who introduced Lori to Chad at a conference called Preparing a People. It took less than a year for Lori to follow the author who wrote about fictional apocalyptic events.
Only one shot, right? One shot.
The misfire suspicious.
By appointing a death
What?
investigation that I have now determined happened in your jurisdiction. The decedent's going to be a Tamara Daybell.
Coming up, 2 dead spouses, 2 missing kids, and how investigators track down the so-called Doomsday Mom.
What the heck? I didn't know it was like this.
Enforcement in Arizona and Idaho now needed the FBI to get involved. But time was ticking. Authorities learned Lori Vallow's 2 kids had vanished, and she wasn't going to be truthful. We want to warn you, some details are graphic. A mother of 5, a librarian with a kind heart, and Chad Daybell's college sweetheart, Tammy Daybell, died in her sleep on October 19, 2019. She was believed to be healthy.
The family said they don't want an autopsy, therefore the coroner just signed off and I'm there. For the funeral home check, Ms. Daybell, is that how that works?
Yes, that's pretty much how it works.
Gilbert Police Detective Ryan Piller called Fremont County Dispatch in Idaho to learn.
We just have some cases down here that got our attention with Miss Daybell.
He wanted to know who tried to kill Brandon Boudreau earlier that month, and he knew about the alleged affair between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
They were saying that Tammy was supposed to die on her trip to Utah.
Zulema Pastenes told detectives her good friends, Chad and Lori, believed in a grim vision.
And then when she didn't pass away, then they were saying was that she actually did pass away, but what happened was that she was taken over by an evil spirit, and then they were, that she had become a zombie.
Justifying
What
death
the
using
hell?
religious beliefs was Chad and Lori's MO, according to investigators. Chad cashed in on Tammy's $400,000 life insurance policy and quickly married Lori less than 3 weeks later in Hawaii. But Lori's children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan, were nowhere to be seen.
So how did
Lori's
So she didn't pass away, but then did?
Tammy Daybell, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
She supposedly died in her sleep, but now they're charged with murdering her.
So why did they say that she didn't pass away? Like they tried and it didn't work or something, or
maybe they tried drugs or something. I don't know.
let me rewind it a little bit.
It's very sketchy.
Something about. Let me listen to that again here. This is crazy. Very complicated. Yeah, like I didn't know it was this deep. I thought it was just about the 2 children. I didn't know any of this other stuff. Yeah, this
is
Lori Vallow's 2 kids had vanished. She wasn't going to be truthful. We want to warn you, some details are
Sorry, I just got to watch this again.
A mother of 5, a librarian with a kind heart, and Chad Daybell's college sweetheart, Tammy Daybell, died in her sleep on October 19, 2019. She was believed to be healthy.
The family said they don't want an autopsy, therefore the coroner just signed off and I'm there. For the funeral home check, Ms. Miss Daybell? Is that how that works?
Yes, that's pretty much how it works.
Gilbert Police Detective Ryan Pillar called Fremont County Dispatch in Idaho to learn more.
We just have some cases down here that got our attention with Miss Daybell.
He wanted to know who tried to kill Brandon Boudreaux earlier that month, and he knew about the alleged affair between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
They were saying that Tammy was supposed to die on a trip to Utah.
Zulema Pastenes told detectives her good friends Chad and Lori believed in a grim vision.
And then when she didn't pass away, then they were saying was that she actually did pass away, but what happened was that she was taken over by an evil spirit, and then they were that she had become a zombie.
Justifying death using religious.
Oh, so basically they were like predicting that she was gonna pass away on this trip, and when she didn't
Right.
pass away because they can't control fucking shit, that's when they said, well, she did pass away, but she came back as a zombie, and so that's how they justified doing what they did, basically.
It's nuts.
Wow. Yeah, Pam, if you have
Yeah.
anything you want to share for a few on, we can tonight, and then we can go back over it on Thursday. I'm just trying to save some of the stuff from the last couple days, and then whatever's coming out in the next couple days for Thursday night, so we can just dedicate it for the whole night on Stephen Smith. Floor of Fire tomorrow. I'm excited to learn about that one. I love knowledge. What a crazy, like, checking it out with Jinx last week. That was a crazy episode too. Just a lot of stuff doesn't make sense with that case either.
No.
Wait till they talk about how the children were found. What?
Beliefs was Chad and Lori's MO, according to investigators. Chad cashed in on Tammy's $400,000 life insurance policy and quickly married Lori less than 3 weeks later in Hawaii. But Lori's children, JJ Vallow and Tylee
Wow.
Ryan, were nowhere to be seen.
Thanks for filling me in on this case. This is crazy.
Lori's text to JJ's nanny was simply not true. The boy's grandparents had not seen him for a while. 7-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee had barely moved to Rexburg, Idaho from Arizona that fall. As for Big Sister, the last verified sighting of Tylee was with JJ, Lori, and her uncle Alex Cox at Yellowstone National Park on September 8th. And one of the last people to see JJ was Lori's best friend, who visited 2 weeks later. Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend planned to record a podcast with Lori on September 22nd.
She texts me and says
something to the effect of,
A podcast?
shortly. JJ woke up and I'm trying to get him back to sleep.
and that was at night.
It was about 8:30 at night.
Well, okay, because we didn't do the podcast yet. It must have been at Alex's house getting him to sleep over there, I'm guessing.
In an email from a Chandler detective to the FBI, Nate Duncan said he was looking through Lori's iCloud records. Quote, in regards to the children, it appears Lori has 2 photographs on her phone of significance. Pictures of rifle ammunition from a store in Idaho. Possibly the last photo of JJ taken on September 22nd, seen here. By late November, Lori's story on her son's whereabouts changed again when Rexburg police arrived for a welfare check.
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
It just was kind of weird.
It is very weird. I've had to move around a lot.
She said JJ was with Melanie, which was not true. Lori and Chad then bolted out of Rexburg, nowhere to be found. Alex moved in with Zulema back in Gilbert after they got married. When authorities exhumed Tammy's body on December 11th, 2019, Zulema confronted Alex.
But if they do this body and are they gonna find anything? Did you have anything to do with this? And he said no.
Investigators believe Alex tried to shoot Tammy 10 days before she died, but failed. He told his wife he might be getting framed.
What is it? Tell me. What is it that they're trying to pin on you? What did they do?
Alex died of natural causes the next day, according to the medical examiner.
There's people around the country praying
Whoa.
for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
Just weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic began, police arrested Lori and Kauai on charges of child abandonment and she was brought back to Idaho. The search for JJ and Tylee continued until it ended in Chad's backyard on a summer day.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
As Lori spoke to Chad from jail, investigators discovered 2 sets of human remains,
No
later
way.
identified as JJ and Tylee. Court
No
documents reveal on
way.
September 9th and 23rd of 2019, Alex Cox's cell phone pinged at the spots where the children would be found. Police say Lori believed they had become zombies. What was left of Tylee's remains? Charred bones and tissue. JJ's body wrapped in tight plastic and duct tape.
His hands were folded about chest high. He had duct tape continuously wrapped from elbow all the way around his arms.
It took nearly a year for Chad and Lori to be indicted on murder charges in connection to the deaths of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy.
Wow.
The thousands of hours that had been
So heartbreaking.
invested into seeking the truth for these victims must be recognized.
And still, the wheels of justice turn slowly.
Wow.
Coming up, JJ Vallow's grandparents have waited 3 years for this trial. Hear what they have to say. Mary Woodcock sounded the alarm to authority to hold of Lori Vallow and had not seen their autistic grandson JJ for months. Their real fight for justice finally begins.
It's been a long, arduous process.
She is starting to get her dues.
We're on the eve of the trial now.
It has been 3 years since we witnessed Lori Vallow extradited from Hawaii to Idaho, initially on charges of child abandonment. Just tell me, how much patience have you learned from this long wait?
More than I've ever used in my entire life. It's been a long, arduous process, and we're on the eve of the trial now, and it's surreal.
What was your reaction to the judge deciding to separate Chad and Lori and have 2 separate trials? Was it the right choice?
You know, I think it makes no difference. I think the evidence is there. I've said that from the get-go. And I truly believe it's really not going to be that big of an issue. Personally, I would like to have seen both of them in court together.
Vallow's defense has filed a notice of alibi saying that when her children died in her brother's apartment, she was with 2 friends and with Chad Daybell in her own apartment. Looking at that, knowing that, are you surprised that she's basically impacts in the responsibility to all this?
Alex has been their patsy since when they were planning it. We knew when Charles was murdered that Alex was it and that Lori was using him, and so the rest of it went
So
on
he did all the dirty work, huh?
Yep.
Hearing, we've seen Lori appear. You know, she has the hair and the makeup done, and she smiles from time to time. Does this feel like a slap in the face every time you see her express herself this way?
No. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I have to use right now. Got to sit 6 behind their courthouse, and I can tell you right now, those leg bracelets that she had on and those handcuffs, that hair that looked like it was combed with a combine is where it's starting to wear on her. And as far as I'm concerned, she is starting to get her dues.
What is your final message to her as trial gets underway?
We have so much faith that she's going to be sentenced to the maximum.
They killed 2 most precious things in the world. Her flesh and blood, her daughter, was murdered in the most gruesome fashion that can be.
Heinous.
It's heinous. It's beyond heinous. And JJ, my God, the most innocent child there was out there.
That's all for us. The Lori Vallow trial begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. Arizona time. Stay with us for full coverage and for all of our reports on the case.
So this started today, huh? Or tomorrow?
I think wasn't jury selection today or something, or was it? I don't know.
Maybe it was.
I didn't see it today.
It says 19 hours ago, so maybe tomorrow it starts. I know there was something going on today. Maybe it was jury selection.
There was. I think it was preliminary hearing or something. I didn't
Wow, that's
watch it.
crazy shit.
Yeah, I guess Lori Vallow filed a motion to ban JJ's grandparents from court.
Why? Lori Vallow did?
Yes, she doesn't want JJ's grandparents in court for the trial.
Wow.
I don't know if anything happened with that.
Showed Law and Crime Network says no emotion was shown. Let me see here. As jury selection progresses. It's not live stream.
Gigi McKelvey, you are there in Idaho. You are watching jury selection. Tell us what the courtroom is like during this jury selection, Gigi McKelvey.
Well, we're here in Ada County at the Ada County Courthouse, and we're actually in an overflow room. We're not allowed inside the courthouse during jury questioning. And the individual voir dire is going off air. We can't even watch that. It's not full. There's some media here. I would say maybe 40, 45 people, but largely empty just on this first day of.
Okay, this is Idaho, right?
Yeah, I think it's Boise.
Idaho?
Boise.
So, okay, so does that... So, do you think they're not gonna fucking not live stream Koberger's case then? It's in Idaho.
I don't know. Now the Letitia Stalk that murdered that Gannon.
Yeah.
I get one of the channels has the audio for the
Audio
court.
What? Oh,
The
okay.
court.
I do
Right.
have something on here. With the opening statements. I have a video of it. I think it's an actual video.
But cameras aren't allowed at the Lori Vallow.
Oh my gosh, Pam.
I know, I just saw that.
What the heck?
I didn't know they ate some of her body. That's just disgusting.
That's crazy. Wow.
Jury selection. It's been interesting. It seems like the jury, for the most part, don't have strong opinions about the case. And if that's how this is going to keep going, maybe we have a jury fairly quickly than what I assumed.
So the mood then that you're watching from the courtroom is that those who are intending to serve on the jury are saying they haven't prejudged this case despite all the publicity. So do you think that's real, Gigi?
Yeah, because I've talked to people locally just getting here last night who said, "Oh, why are you in Boise?" I said, "With the Lori Vallow trial." They'll say, "What's that?" So I think people just have their normal lives. Some people just aren't up in the true crime world. They don't watch news. So I think it's very possible that we get a jury here that's solid. And this morning, I was very surprised. There were a few that were released due to hardships with small children or job issues. But nobody has said, I've formed an opinion that would not allow me to be a fair juror on this trial. We haven't had any of that yet, not even close.
That is so interesting to me. But so you're listening. So is the defendant, Lori Vallow Daybell. What has her demeanor been like? And have you seen any emotion out of her? And if so, when?
No emotion. She has talked to John Thomas a bit back and forth, and she's watching the jurors as they answer questions. She's writing down notes. So she seems to be actively participating in this jury selection. But overall, No emotion though, just nothing at all. And maybe that'll change when openings start. Who knows? But for right now, she's dressed in a black top and she's got her glasses on and looks studious, sitting there doing her work. She might be doodling for all we know, though.
Well, we know two people that are very interested in this trial. Those are the parents of JJ that you just interviewed, and we showed clips of those interviews. Did they have any thoughts about the upcoming trial, and are they allowed to be in the courtroom to watch the trial?
We're waiting on that ruling to come down. We're hoping today they will, Judge Boyce will issue that ruling. There's a question of whether or not they're considered victims under Idaho law. And so they are on the witness list to testify. So that's the biggest thing right now everybody's waiting for. And hopefully they just want to know all the pieces. Kind of like all of us, we have a good foundation. We have some of the puzzle put together, but there's a lot of big pieces that we're missing. And so I think for them too, they just want to know exactly what happened to their grandson, JJ, Tylee, and Tammy.
Did they say whether or not they had ever spoken to Lori Vallow about what happened to JJ? Because if people aren't following this trial, they may not know the answer to that question.
Yeah, Kay tried repeatedly to get in touch with Lori, to have contact with JJ. He was normally would FaceTime them sometimes 15 to 20 times a day, and that dropped off significantly until there was none. But she didn't talk to her on the phone after, I believe about August was the last time they saw JJ on FaceTime, and then the communication just went away and there were no response. And that's what led to the welfare check, is just their inability to get in touch with Lori or JJ, or to even be able to see him on FaceTime for a minute.
And when you talk to them, how are they going to handle if they do get in the courtroom, or just this trial? Because we've seen how they've been victimized already, even if they may not be victims under Idaho law.
I think their position as the representative for JJ, and they consider themselves the representatives of Tylee in this courtroom as well, just the strength, because Kay said she made a promise to JJ and Tylee when they found the bodies to make sure justice was served and to watch that process. So I think that resolve with them will give them the strength on the days where some very painful stuff's going to come out, for them to keep that promise to JJ and Tylee, because that is something that is so important to Kay and Larry both. And they reiterated that several times.
Gigi McKelvey, I know you have your hands filled with another trial here, this one in Idaho, about Lori Vallow Daybell. And is she guilty of murdering her two-child along with her new husband in a conspiracy? Gigi, I hope to hear from you soon again. In the meantime, get back.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's up, Jinx? I mean, yeah, if she didn't think she did anything wrong, why would she? How we got here? The full new updates, Idaho student murders, crime stories obsessed. I'm going to switch to that. Then I'm going to cover some of this Letitia stuff here in a few. But I'm interested to see what crime stories obsessed, the full new updates. We watched some of that stuff last night. I'm wondering, I don't know, I need to look for that video that has, I know I've seen it somewhere. It had the actual file or something. So this is Crime Stories Obsessed. Good to see you, Jinx. Thanks for hopping up. Oh, StreamYard's probably bugging. Kid Kitty, if you back out and hop back in, your picture will probably show up.
Okay.
Okay. Here, I'll go ahead and drop that in chat, just in case. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm all about the knowledge. There you go. Can you guys see the picture? see here. I'll drop this in chat.
Yeah, I keep having to restart my phone because it starts going directly to voicemail when people call.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my brother called tonight and just showed a voicemail. So I called him. I said, I didn't see you call. He goes, yeah, it went straight to voicemail. I said, oh, time to restart.
Okay, now they say it's back. Yeah, it was bugging. It was bugging in the beginning. So let's see. What is this? The full new updates. We haven't watched Crime Stories Obsessed channel for a while.
Real people, real lives,
Holy crap.
and real crimes. Crime Stories Obsessed.
Damn, that's loud.
Brian Koberger still sits in isolation in Latah County Jail, awaiting his court date in June. But a new development in the case has come up. After being arrested in December for brutally murdering the 4 university students, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Zana, it has unquestionably captured the interest of the nation. Now, new developments in the case, including reports from a former PhD student's neighbours and an update about a key piece of evidence against Koberger. So Koberger was arrested in December 2022, and at the time, investigators revealed that a key piece of evidence against Koberger was a knife sheath left between the bodies of Kaylee and Maddie at 1122 King Road. The affidavit released spoke of DNA being found on it. But what happened before Koberger was arrested and at the time that they were trying to extract DNA from the sheath? Now, we've all read the affidavit to do with the case, and according to the affidavit, Koberger's DNA was found on the knife sheath, and this was after it had been sent to the Idaho State Lab. It states in the affidavit that the Idaho State Lab had matched DNA from the sheath to that of Koberger's father after police confiscated items from the trash of the family home in Pennsylvania. Howard Blum, a journalist and author working on a book about the murders, maintains that the knife sheath was sent out of Idaho to be tested by a startup lab in Texas. He said they sent it to the lab in Idaho, and the lab in Idaho couldn't find anything. So they thought that this was a dead end, he revealed. Blum appeared on News Nation on Wednesday, explaining why the sheath was sent to another state, and claims it was because officials needed to make an arrest as soon as possible. They wanted desperately to tie the suspect to the knife sheath, he said, and so it was sent to a lab in Texas where they specialized in kinship DNA. You could figure out a relative of the DNA that you already had, and the lab was set up to investigate unsolved murders, he said. That before the active murder case, the lab had only been used for cold cases prior to that. It's a problem for the prosecution, though. If the reports are accurate and the first lab did not match the DNA to Koberger, even through familial DNA matches are new, the state is going to have to explain why the first lab drew different conclusions. It's uncommon for such a bloody crime scene to have a single source of DNA connected to a defendant. A lot of blood, a lot of victims. You would have expected to find more DNA evidence or fingerprints or something linking him to that crime, but there wasn't. The defense will argue, though, that it was transferred or planted, and there was also to be a lot of other people's DNA at the scene because there was a lot of people coming and going. This was a party house, he said, and the defense will argue that law enforcement didn't rule them out as suspects. It's possible that Koberger's defense team will contest the DNA evidence, and defense attorneys look wherever they can to find a potential reasonable doubt in the case. This is the only piece of DNA that we are aware of that they have against him. But the defense team must be pretty happy that the test did not come back positive to Koberger's DNA initially. as it's something that they can look at and pick apart. One of the newest developments in the case, though, is the potential Brady Giglio material related to an
Right.
officer involved in the Koberger investigation. Now, apparently, a former federal prosecutor and electoral state attorney, Michael, said that the disclosure was an unnecessary and unforced error by the government, but it won't result in dismissal. He explained that the protective order granted by Lehi County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall keeps the material from being publicly disclosed. The prosecutors in the Koberger case had an affirmative obligation to turn over any exculpatory information to the defense. What needs to be turned over includes potential impeachment material or any investigator who worked on the case. He continued that an active internal affairs investigation of one of the officers or detectives would fall under that duty to disclose. Now, prosecutors sometimes fail to turn over materials because they're not aware of it. Of course, it's also possible that the prosecutors simply didn't do their jobs. It's impossible to know at this point, but the case is only in pre-trial, and any potential violation of the government's obligations likely can be cured by blatantly turning the information over to the defense. Now, this episode is an unnecessary and unforced error by the government in an important case, but it won't result in a dismissal. Wherever the new information about an officer results in any significant change in the course of the case depends on the significant information now being disclosed, and it might be gross misconduct of a primary detective, or it might be a minor transgression of a marginal investigator. This could be evidence or illegal, unethical conduct, or even the officers lying. This usually relates to other cases that have nothing to do with Koberger, and the judge will review the files in camera or in chambers and decide what the evidence of officer misconduct, if any, to produce to the defense. Now, a father that lived in the apartment below Koberger painted a picture of the murder suspect, Ryan Koberger. He said that he never saw him with friends, he only saw him on his own. He only ever heard him at night, and he would walk backwards and forwards, pacing around well past midnight and washing things. He said it was a problem for his family and
Washing
it was quite
things?
disruptive. Apparently, his wife was very upset because the kids were trying to sleep and he would often wake them up. Now, the neighbour added that he and his family wanted to go round there, especially his wife, and confront Koberger, but the husband pulled her back and told her not to. Now, looking at the situation that has come out since, I bet they are glad that they didn't. The neighbour added that the family was shocked when Koberger was arrested and charged with the murders. Especially my wife, he said, well, she couldn't sleep very well. And also in the news, the 20-year-old Ethan Chapin, who died as a result of allegedly Koberger's actions after being one of the university students of Idaho who was slain in a gruesome attack in the home where he was staying with his girlfriend back in November. The parents are speaking out for the first time and opening up about their family's healing and their son's legacy. Now, as we know, Ethan was a triplet, born right after his sister Maisie and brother Hunter, who they all attended the same university in Idaho. They were especially close. The whole of the Chapin family were very close and did a lot of things together. Hunter was found himself facing the world without his wingman for the first time, and Stacy Chapin, Ethan's mother, recalled how Hunter recently called her from school saying, "Mom, I just went through the drive-through by myself for the first time." When you're a triplet, she said, you spend your whole life together with people. On November the 12th, 2022, Ethan had spent his last night alive taking his sister to her sorority formal. He then hung out at the Sigma Chi fraternity house before retiring for the night with his girlfriend Xana Canodal at her off-campus home. To honor their son, Jim and Stacy Chapin, who are from Conway in Washington, have started a foundation called Ethan's Smile, offering scholarships for Conway area graduates and for students attending the University of Idaho. Since their son's murder, the Chapins have mostly grieved privately, and focused on helping their other 2 children. It's still a long road, including symbolic days that they know will be especially hard without their triplet. A big milestone in the triplets' 21st birthday in October. We just talked about the kid's 21st birthday forever. Ethan's father said, "I just miss him. I think about him every day. I love to hug him. He stood at 6 feet 4 inches tall, and I'd give anything just to be able to hug him once more."
Don't want to get in trouble for the music. Yeah, I do have a video on that too. I seen that come across because we were all wanting to get together and buy some of those and plant some wherever.
By what?
Some of them seeds for those tulip flowers. You make a donation. It's a donation, and then you get seeds, and then you can plant them. 5 caterpillars, huh? Yeah, that's true.
Hey, did you see Jinx's post earlier? About she has a firefighter that wants to tag along with you guys. Okay, I didn't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's interesting. You'll have to take some pictures, Pam. That is neat. Is this still music? Yeah, it's still music.
So are they going to post when they're ready to take donations so you can get those?
I don't know. There's a video I got coming up that's probably going to say something about it. Let me see here. Let me look for it. All right, let me see. Where is that? Ah, here it is. So there's one. I thought there was another one somewhere. Maybe it's just one. So maybe it'll say on here.
The parents of Ethan Chapin, one of the 4 University of Idaho students murdered late last year, is speaking publicly for the first time since his memorial. Jim and Stacy Chapin are sharing the unique way they're planting memories.
What's up, Cold Truth?
NBC's Gotti Schwartz has the story.
It's Ethan smiling on us, right?
In Ethan Chapin's community, a new hope is blooming this spring that his memory won't be forgotten.
Ethan. He's a one of them.
Stacy and Jim Chapin are volunteering at the tulip farm where their son once worked before he was murdered, along with his girlfriend Xana Kernodle and 2 other University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie Mogan.
Thank you, SRB.
Ethan loved people, and he was an inclusive kid, and he loved a great adventure. I mean, Ethan was the kid that the rest of the kids would call.
I hope you're having a
find
good
out
Monday
when
too,
he was
Cold
on
Truth.
the
Thank
work
you.
schedule because everybody wanted to work with Ethan. When this happened, the kids decided that they needed a way to honor him.
Ethan's fellow farmers dedicating a yellow and white tulip mix to him named Ethan's Smile after one of his most memorable features.
I was one of the lucky kids that got to work on the tulip farm with him. He had the best smile. You couldn't see it and not just instantly smile back.
The proceeds from the bulbs going towards a foundation that Ethan's parents started in his name. It aims to provide scholarships for students who attended Ethan's grade school to go to the University of Idaho.
The tulip became something tangible and something that people grasped onto. We realized that by creating a foundation, we can give scholarships back to kiddos to be able to follow their dreams. And
That's
the
a
best
cool
thing
logo,
we can
too.
do in his honor.
The victim's family is waiting for their next day in court amid potentially troubling new revelations. Case against Brian Koberger, who's accused of murdering Chapin and the 3 other University of Idaho students. In a court filing last week, prosecutors disclosed that one of the officers on the case has been the subject of an internal affairs investigation. With the next hearing still months away, a family sowing seeds to ensure that their son's legacy will flourish.
I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Aw.
That kid has touched more lives. We say in our family, if we touch as many lives as he did in his 20 years, this world would be a better place. He was an amazing kid.
What a cool picture, too. Look at that. That's a great picture. Everybody's standing out there. Thank you for the link, SRB. Where did it go? Here it is. So if you'd like to purchase some and donate. And what's up, Cold Truth? We got to have you back on the show. Some updates on Ray's case and maybe chat about that other lady you were talking about that night. That's pretty interesting too. We'll be doing Flora Fire tomorrow. More than welcome to join. Such brave souls. And speaking of joining, if anybody would like to hop up, you're more than welcome. She's a beautiful soul, Jinx. But it was I don't know, I thought we clicked pretty well when we did that show a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate it. Posted an update. Okay. Let me go check that too here in a second. Let me see. Interesting. So let's see. Community post, right? Let's see. Community post. And here is the community link too, if you'd like to go there. Today, April 3rd, 2023 was the initial hearing for Garrett K. Kurtz for the murder of Charles Ray Hainish. I was unable to attend, but Jean called to tell me some of what happened. Garrett was not physically present in the courtroom, rather attended via video conference. He was able to see Ray and Nicole's family and Lost City of Atlanta in attendance. His lawyer, Cody Spears, was the only one present on Garrett's side. The judge went over his charges, which include 1 count of murder, 1 count of theft, and 1 count of theft of an entire automobile. Jing did not remember hearing a declaration of plea. The next hearing is set for April 21st, 2023 at 3 p.m., to which Garrett will be present. She says that Garrett has lost quite a bit of weight since we last saw him. He is incarcerated at Pendleton Corrections State Prison for the murder of Nicole Bowen. Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that case too, Nicole Bowen. So there's the picture. Huh. Thank you for that. I have had a not so good day, but I'm sorry about that. Like, man, there's a lot of people that hadn't had a good day today. Sorry about that. Dang. You know what? I kind of had a crappy day too, but so thank you for that link. Here's that link again, the Tulip Valley. I'll put that back in chat too. I hurt my back. Aw. Well, glad you're home safe as well. All right, let me see here. If we got anything breaking real quick before I go back into the April folder. Man, we already have like 50 videos in there already. I just started it today. So trial jury selection begins for Lori Vallow. So, whoa, Brian Etton's talking about it. Hold on one second. Let me double check. Where's that video? There it is. Brian Etton's talking about this case for some reason.
Let me bring in senior national correspondent Brian Enton. He was in the spillover room today watching this process. He's going to have a seat at the actual trial. You made a great point, Brian. Thanks for doing this. That you believe the defense did do something right already, which was moving venue. Where and why do you believe it was a good move?
Yeah, I mean, the jury selection process is moving quickly, Chris. They moved the trial here to Boise. It seems like the jurors here aren't that familiar with it. It's not like what we saw with Murdoch in South Carolina. A lot of them are saying, oh, I've only heard a little something. I'm not going to be biased. So I think they're going to pick a jury quickly. But you mentioned it. The thing that should surprise me the most was I go inside the courthouse today and Chad Daybell's attorney is sitting there watching everything. So he's clearly got an advantage in all of this. He's going to watch Lori's entire trial.
What?
And then he's going to have his second.
Good. Brian Enton, thank you very much. Can't wait for the coverage. We need you even more than usual, which is already comprehensive, because no cameras in the courtroom. So we're really going to have to depend on what this judge allows to release. And lucky for you, you've got somebody who knows how to observe and understand as well as anybody in the business. So we'll get that. So we got the Vallow case, Doomsday Mom, which to me is a really interesting one. And I'll tell you why. From a policy perspective, okay, this is going to play with people's what we call adoptive morality in the law, which is what you expect to be at play in a given situation. Moms don't hurt their kids, okay? But a diseased mind, in Idaho, she doesn't get the defense. She's not going to, but you can always argue that your capacity was diminished.
Why? Excuse me. The panel? I'm not understanding the panel here, but Stephen A. Smith. What? I don't. Let me see. Journalist, conservative analyst Scott Nell Hughes, Stephen A. Smith, sports journalist, and Charlie LaDuff is a sports journalist or journalist. I'm just not understanding this panel here. I mean, Brian Enton. I don't know. Maybe they were talking about something else or something first.
Cult change how people feel about what she did.
It's hard watching these videos from Cuomo. I'm sorry. But I have to.
Change how people feel about what she did, or she says she didn't do it. She said it was somebody else. But
it shouldn't.
But people don't believe a mom would do this to their
Okay,
kids.
what I'm saying to you is,
And they're desperate to
if,
excuse them.
if you're telling me a diseased mind,
that's what she'll argue.
She'll argue that. I'm like, okay, well then you need to be locked up for the rest of your life. That's as far as I'm concerned. You killed your own child. Sometimes, and see, this is
Oh, wow.
and sometimes I think, listen, I'm not going to get apoplectic here, but I will say this. It disgusts me when murder takes place. And I have let's call it what it is. A special thing hits you when you know it's children.
They did, Pam.
That have had their lives snatched away from them. And to me, this need to understand, to comprehend, to dissect and decipher what has transpired, what was transpiring in your mind when you did it, is not nearly as important to me as you suffering the consequences for committing such a heinous act. Now, that's just
Controversial statement by Stephen Smith. He doesn't like it when kids are killed.
Well, no, but here
It does something to him.
It does. It does.
You
really
said it
does.
was
It'd be a problem if it didn't.
How about that?
You know,
I'm cool. I thought there was going to be some Brian Enton on that. I apologize. That was all right. So I'm going to check out this Law and Crime Network. We're going to talk some Letitia. How do you pronounce the name? Stouch?
Well, I heard him pronouncing it Stauk or Stalk.
Stout. How do you pronounce the name?
Like with a K at the end sound.
Stauk?
Yeah,
Stauk?
that's what I heard today.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true about the solar flares. I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff on space, and I actually watched a really interesting one last night. It was called The 8 Wonders of the Solar System. A lot of interesting stuff I learned, especially about Neptune. So I'm sure the solar flares, it does actually affect the weather. And if you guys remember, because the solar flares is what, when it hits the magnetic field around Earth, it goes to the poles. So that's where you get the northern lights. Northern lights come from particles from the solar flares, just transferred to the pole because of the force field from the magnetic properties of Earth. So, and actually, if you guys remember, there was a few days ago, maybe it was a week or two ago, people could see the northern lights all the way down in Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas, I think even Michigan. So the northern lights actually came down quite a bit. There was a lot of that stuff going on. So what Cold Truth is saying is, yeah, the shit's no joke. And that's what tears up the atmospheres. That's what has torn up other planets that have had atmospheres prior. The solar winds tear it up, and then next thing you know, it's game over. Ooh, send me some stuff on that, Cold Truth. I'd like to play some videos on that stuff. I love outer space. And unfortunately, we don't have too much warning. And it did. So much damage was done. Yeah. I mean, I remember the whole Northern Lights was like way down. I was like, that's not good. All right, so this is Law and Crime Network. This is Letitia. I'm just gonna say Letitia until I'll probably hear how it's really spelled here. So I'm gonna watch. This is 20 minutes, so we'll chill back and watch this for a little bit. Yeah, let me know when you'd want to be back on, Cold Truth. I'd love to have you back on again. Cold Truth. Yeah, seriously, you gotta look up documentaries on solar winds and solar flares, It is crazy. Mm. Yeah, it was really good. I'll share it at the end of the show with what I was watching last night. It was crazy. It went through each planet. It was so cool. All right, so this is. Oh, let me put it in chat. There we go. Okay, so it's going to kind of go through the opening, I imagine.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Our main question you will have to answer as jurors in this case has to do with sanity, specifically the defendant's sanity. At the conclusion of the evidence, the court will give you jury instructions.
Ooh, this is a weird angle.
We'll talk specifically about insanity.
It is a weird angle. It's hard to see.
It will read that as to the question of sanity, the defendant was insane at the time of the commission of the acts if she was so diseased or defective in mind at the time of the commission of the acts as to be incapable of distinguishing right from wrong with respect to that act, or she suffered from a condition of mind caused by a mental disease or defect that prevented her from forming a culpable mental state that is an essential element of a crime charge. A culpable mental state is like an intentionally or knowingly. Evidence in this case will show that she could distinguish between right and wrong, and that she was absolutely capable of forming the specific intent required for these charges. Those instructions will go on to give specific guidance on what qualifies as a mental disease or defect. It says care should not be taken to confuse mental disease or defect with moral obliquity, mental depravity, passion growing out of anger, revenge, or hatred, or other motives and kindred evil conditions. Because when an act is induced by any of these causes, the ones that I just listed, the person is accountable to the law, meaning that person can be found guilty for committing crimes charged. You should consider the evidence you will hear in this case in context with that instruction. This case is about two people. First is Gannon Jacob Stout, an 11-year-old little boy, came into this world premature, weighing just 1 pound 6 ounces.
What?
He proved to be a fighter.
Yeah,
Overcame
I
the
love
difficulties
Outer Space.
associated with being born so small. He's survived by his mother, Landon Hyatt, his father, Al Stout, and his precocious little sister, Layla. On January 26, 2020, something bad happened inside the Stout family home. Gannon suffered some burns. You'll learn this from a video recording this defendant made that night, January 26th. You'll hear her as she manipulated Gannon, putting guilt on him for some mistake that a child made. And in that recording, you'll hear Gannon say in his own words, "I'm just worried about my burns."
Two, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, me too.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise it's the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose? Okay, we promise. You promise. Pinky promise. Okay, all right. So listen. We're gonna have to
Poor
sell
kid.
stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay. You got it? You got it?
I'm just worried about my
Okay, shh. Listen. So tomorrow,
The other person in this case is that last voice you just heard, who said so tomorrow. This lady sitting right here, the defendant. January 26, 2020 and into January 27, 2020, she was the sole provider for Gannon. Her husband, Al Stout, Gannon's father, serves in the National Guard. He was in Oklahoma for National Guard training, left that Saturday night, the 25th. Everything that happened to Gannon from that point forward was her decision. She carried out actions to kill Gannon, to put his body in a suitcase and hide it, to hide evidence of what she did to Gannon. Told numerous stories to investigators to manipulate the course of the investigation. And finally, to discard Gannon inside that suitcase off of a Florida bridge like garbage. January 27, 2020, Gannon's home, located at 6627 Mandan Drive, here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, turned into the stuff of nightmares. In fact, the one place a little boy like Gannon should have felt the safest, his bedroom, turned into, like I said, the stuff of nightmares. That bedroom is in fact where he was brutally murdered. The defendant attacked him viciously, mercilessly, deliberately, and intentionally. These are exhibits that you'll see from the doctor down in Florida, Dr. Ignacio, when she performed the autopsy. He'll tell you that Gannon suffered 18 stab wounds to his body, his chest, his back, his head, and most importantly, his arms and his hands. Why is that important? Gannon was fighting for his life, and those were defensive wounds. Next came a crushing blow to his head that was so strong, it fractured his skull like an eggshell. That wasn't enough for this defendant. He retrieved a 9mm handgun, fired it at Gannon 3 times. 2 bullets struck the pillow near him and were caught in the fibers of that pillow. That 3rd bullet entered his jaw, traveled through his head, fracturing his mandible, his vertebrae, hitting his spinal cord, and lodged in the back of his head and was recovered at autopsy. Gannon's life drained from his body, drop by drop. The photo that's on the screen right now is a picture of his bedroom. Same corner where he was in that picture, or where you'll see him in a picture in the bed. Each one of those markers signifies a small blood drop that splattered across his wall. It ran down the corner of his mattress, soaked through the carpet padding, and puddled on the concrete foundation below that carpet. The defendant then took very deliberate action. She decided to hide her crimes from the world, and she took action to hide those crimes from the world. She collected Gannon's bloody and broken body and the blankets and pillow that were near him and shoved them into a suitcase and hid them in the storage unit in that basement. That basement storage unit is right around the corner from Gannon's bedroom. What she didn't know is that she was leaving clues behind in that storage room. That plastic tub that you see in the bottom left portion of that picture has Gannon's blood on it. There was an Amazon box in that storage room that has Gannon's blood on it. The concrete floor in that storage room had Gannon's blood on it. The defendant next decided to clean Gannon's room. Deliberately.
Wow.
Intentionally. Knowing what she was doing. She scrubbed the walls, cleaning them off. She scrubbed the carpet with scrub brushes that were later found in the dishwasher. Those scrub brushes have carpet fibers in them. They have blood on them. They have Gannon's DNA on them. This is Gannon's bedroom when members of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office first came to the house on January 27th in the evening hours. This is what it looked like. No obvious signs of a struggle. No obvious signs of blood as they walked through the house and through Gannon's bedroom. There were no obvious signs of a struggle or a murder because the defendant had cleaned them up. And also realized she had Gannon's blood on her person. Clothes that she was wearing, likely containing Gannon's blood, based off of how much blood had hit the walls, were never found. Her clothing was never found. These shoes, the defendant's shoes, were found on the washing machine, drying. That reddish rust color that you can see on the soles Gannon's blood and DNA were found on those shoes. You can see just how much blood she was walking through as she was cleaning up that mess.
Wow.
Took more deliberate action. She collected and discarded other important clues. I mentioned she stabbed Gannon 18 times. The instrument that she used to stab Gannon has never been found. That 9mm handgun that she used to fire 3 rounds at Gannon, shell casing ejected out of that firearm each time she pulled the trigger.
3 rounds.
No shell casing was ever found in Gannon's room.
This is his stepmom, Cherry.
She then took more deliberate action when she hid Gannon in a suitcase, first in her car, and then up north near the El Paso County, Douglas County line. GPS location data was used to track her locations or her movements. And it led to another grisly discovery up just in this area here. A board was found under a tree. That board had Gannon's blood on it. This is miles away from the Stout family home, which is in the southeast part of the city, close to the airport. You'll learn through testimony that this board came from the Stout family garage. Then took more deliberate and thoughtful action. She loaded the suitcase containing Gannon into the back of a rented van and drove to Florida. And that's the course of her travels from here to Florida. She rented a hotel room in Pensacola, Florida on February 4th, 2020. She drove a short distance from that hotel room, which is sort of by those blue angular marks on the map, up to where that red square is on the map. Drove a short distance from that hotel room, across a dark bridge that drives over a river that flows into the Gulf of Mexico. There she acted with determined purpose. Stopped that van. She hauled the suitcase out of the back of that van, drug it to the side of the road, hoisted it up over the railing, pushed it over the side, hoping that Gannon would never be found. 48 days later, 1,300 miles away from where Gannon was murdered, the search for answers and Gannon's remains finally ended on March 17, 2020, when the suitcase that came from that basement storage room, Gannon's remains, blankets, and the pillow were found by an unlucky bridge worker checking that bridge for safety. And imagine the shock that he felt when he realized what was inside that suitcase. Inside that suitcase, obviously Gannon's decomposing remains. Also, these 2 blankets and that pillow. Remember the pictures that I showed just a moment ago of Gannon in bed? These pictures were taken by this defendant on the morning of January 27, 2020. Sent them by text message to Gannon's father, Al, who was in Oklahoma for training. Take note of those blankets. Take note of the blankets that were recovered from that suitcase. The very same blankets and pillow that were in those pictures on January 27, 2020 were found 1,300 miles away with Gannon underneath that bridge. The defendant then purposely, intentionally came up with numerous different stories about what had happened. Gannon was missing, went to a friend's house and never returned. Gannon was kidnapped and she was raped by a guy named Eduardo. Gannon was kidnapped and she was raped, but this time by a guy named Quincy Brown.
What the heck?
She went to look for a bike up near that Douglas County, El Paso County line. Gannon test rode that bike, crashed, and suffered a horrible head injury. And a guy named Quincy Brown takes Gannon, and now the defendant doesn't know where Gannon is. Cartels were somehow involved with Gannon's disappearance. And most cruelly, that Landon Hyatt, Gannon's mother, was involved with Gannon's disappearance. All of her actions were purposely designed by her to distance herself from what she did. Throw off investigators, buy her time, escape accountability for what she did to Gannon on January 27, 2020. At the conclusion of the evidence that we'll be presenting in this case, You'll be asked to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty of the charges that we've leveled against her. You'll also be asked to determine whether she was sane or insane at the time that she killed Gannon. All of her decisions, all of her deliberate actions betray her claims of insanity. She knew that what she had done to Gannon was wrong. Why hide it? You'll hear her own voice through recorded phone calls and interviews. The evidence itself will prove her sanity. As jurors, part of your job will be to determine how much credibility, if any, you give to the witnesses. That same rule applies to expert witnesses. You'll get to hear from doctors. You'll get to hear from GPS expert witnesses. Lawyers get tongue-tied sometimes. And when they take the stand and take an oath, you get to judge whether what they are saying makes sense. Is it credible or not? And if it's not credible, you get to discard it. If it's credible, you can use it in your deliberations. But you all get to decide whether that credibility extends to that witness or not. The same will hold true for our expert witnesses and the defense expert witnesses. Get to hear from a doctor that will testify that the defendant was insane at the time of the murder of Gannon's death on January 27, 2020. With all expert witnesses, you should gauge what they're saying, measure it against the other evidence that you're hearing. Does it make sense or not? Like all expert witnesses, if it doesn't make sense, you can discard it. You'll also hear from others who knew her best. People that have the best opportunity to see how she was acting. Did she understand the difference between right and wrong? Could she form intent? People like Al Stauck, the man who was married to her. People like her brother, Dakota Lowry, who flew out here after Gannon went missing. And most importantly, her very own daughter, Harley Hunt. See, Harley Hunt was in the best position to know the defendant's state of mind, especially as it relates to when this crime occurred. He was the only other older person in the house. When Al left to Oklahoma, Harley Hunt was working. She's young, 17 years old at the time, thinking about going into the Air Force. But she becomes the defendant's closest confidant after the defendant killed Gannon Stout. In fact, she also rode with the defendant on that van ride from Colorado Springs to Florida. She'll be able to tell you in her own words whether the defendant understood the difference between right and wrong, whether she could act intentionally or deliberately or not. And she'll tell you that she could on both counts. Remember, this case is about two people. Gannon had no choice what happened to him that day on January 27th. The other, this defendant, she held every single decision in her hands. She took deliberate, thoughtful actions that ended a precious life and tore a family apart. Your job as jurors will be to listen intently to all of the evidence. Because even the most mundane evidence, it might seem inconsequential when you're listening, is being given to you purposely so that you can make the determinations you need to make as jurors. Did she understand the difference between right and wrong? Was she able to form a culpable mental state? Every single piece of evidence that comes from this chair will be used by you to make that determination. The next time I get to talk with you directly the way I'm doing right now, that'll mean we've concluded evidence and we're giving closing arguments. At that time, both sides will get to ask you to make determinations based on what you all have heard. We're going to ask you to hold us to our burden of proof. The criminal justice system doesn't work if you don't hold us to our burden of proof. Our burden of proof is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The things we have to prove are the elements of the crimes charged. We also have to disprove that the defendant is insane, meaning essentially we have to prove that she was sane. The evidence will do that for you. We will ask you to give justice to Gannon Stout. We will ask you to find this defendant guilty for what she did to him more than 3 years ago. We'll ask you to find her guilty of murder in the first degree. Murder in the first degree of a child under 12 years of age. Tampering with a deceased human body for taking Gannon's body from that scene and transporting it across the country. And tampering with physical evidence. We'll ask you to convict her on each and every one of those charges. And the evidence will guide you towards those convictions. On January 27, 2020, 6:55 p.m., the defendant herself called 911. She called 911 to report that Gannon was missing and not come home. Call taker you'll hear ask the defendant, who was the last person to see Gannon?
Who was the last person to see him? I guess me.
The evidence will show that she was the last person to see Gannon alive. The evidence will show that she was sane on January 27, 2020, when she ended Gannon's life. The evidence will show that she acted intentionally and deliberately when she took Gannon's life. And then we will ask you to convict her. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Defense?
Real.
Man. Yeah, I'll only be able to cover that story maybe for a little bit at a time. Man,
So
I didn't
heartbreaking.
realize. Yeah, it's I thought it was just one bullet. I didn't realize it was 3. I might have, well, because I was thinking about maybe trying to see if we could chill back and watch something sometime, and I think my night off is Wednesday, and I think I might try and see if I can play certain content. It'd be cool, because it would be kind of neat to, if you guys ever wanted to chill back and watch whatever I'm watching on a Wednesday night when I'm just chilling back. Let me see if I can find it. I think this might be something to do with let me see. When it comes to are they born this way or what? Let me see if I have it in this folder. I don't. Let me look for it, but I did look up some stuff about solar winds and stuff like that since we were talking about it, so I thought it'd be interesting to check out some of this stuff. Man, that case is crazy.
It is.
It's hard to hear what she just did. I mean, damn. Okay, so first I'm gonna go ahead.
So I got on the website for those tulips for Ethan.
Yeah.
And it's only $25, and it says it comes in bundles of 20 or 25 bulbs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to order some.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is.
So for $25, it's you get 25 bulbs
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
So it goes to what here, I'll go ahead and click to it real quick since we're talking about it. It goes to a scholarship.
I think so. I
foundation?
think that's what they said.
Okay, let me. All right, we'll get to one of these. So this is, I want to explain how the magnetic shield protects us first, and then we're going to go into these recent videos about what Cold Truth was talking about. Yeah, pretty crazy. So this one is, I don't know if I'll get in trouble from this one or not. Nova PBS. I'm not going to take the chance. I'll test out Nova on Wednesday and see if I get shut down. Let me see here. GB News. We'll check them out. GB News, Cosmo News. Let me check out the Cosmo News. That sounds kind of cool. Multiple scholarships. Oh, neat. I'm glad you guys are checking it out. Damn, that's loud. Subscribe. Let me go ahead and share the link of the channel real quick. Whoops. Oh, crap. Man, that was loud. All right. Gotta turn this thing down. Come on, YouTube. Come on, YouTube. I'll just do this, maybe. Dang, that's loud. Dang, those are
A
huge.
giant hole has appeared on the surface of the sun, and it could send 1.8 million mile/hour solar winds toward Earth. It follows the
Dang.
discovery of a coronal hole on the sun 30 times the size of Earth.
Wow.
As this first hole begins rotating away from us, a new giant coronal hole about 18 to 20 Earths across has come into view. Coronal holes release solar winds into space, which can damage satellites and reveal stunning auroras if they reach Earth.
That's why they came down so far.
Scientists aren't concerned about this hole damaging infrastructure, though they say it may help trigger auroras in some parts of the world. Coronal holes are fairly common, but they usually appear toward the poles of the sun, where their winds are spewed into space. But as the sun is gearing up to a peak in activity, which happens about every 11 years, these holes are more likely to appear near the equator of the sun. This one being at the equator means we're pretty much guaranteed to see some fast wind at Earth a couple of days after it rotates past the central meridian. Coronal holes can blast very fast solar winds with speeds of more than 800 kilometers per second. That's about 1.8 million miles per hour.
Damn, Cold Truth
shape
coming
of this
in with the
coronal hole
exact
is not
facts.
particularly special.
Dang.
However, its location makes it very interesting.
Those are the exact facts she quoted earlier.
Scientists expect some fast wind from that coronal hole to come to Earth around Friday night into Saturday morning of this week.
So I just want to say, as a heads up, if you see a live and it doesn't happen, you know why. Don't think it's because of freaking. Well, hopefully we won't be getting. Oh man, we got storms coming in tomorrow night too. Fingers crossed for that. Jinx, heads up. Yeah, I'm sure you already know. Storms coming tomorrow, so fingers crossed about tomorrow night. And Wednesday
Everybody
too.
be safe.
Yeah.
Everybody be safe.
Yeah. Hell, I had to. What night was that? I shut down Saturday. Shut down because of a freaking tornado warning.
Yeah, I believe so.
Saturday night. See you guys. Man, that was crazy.
The sun is a big ball of plasma. That plasma churns from the inside of the sun to its surface, and as it does, it creates magnetic fields that ebb and swell, crashes, and merge. A coronal hole appears when those magnetic fields shoot straight up into space, according to NASA. That makes it a lot easier for solar winds, bits of plasma from the sun, to escape into space at high speed. Those areas are generally cooler and less dense than the surrounding hot, churning plasma.
What
which
an
explains why
animation.
they show up as darker splotches on pictures of the sun.
Mm.
If those magnetic lines are facing toward Earth, that wind will come crashing into our atmosphere. If it is oriented in the southward direction, we're more likely to have a space weather event, but we don't know that yet. As these winds interact with our charged atmosphere, they can make auroras brighter. When the skies lit up last week with brilliant auroras that were spotted as far south as Arizona.
Yeah, last week.
It just so
Arizona.
happens that several coronal mass ejections, huge eruptions of plasma being thrown into space, happened around the same time as the hole was facing Earth, creating a huge geomagnetic storm, which is why the effect was so strong.
Yeah, I thought it
In
was
the
like a
case
week.
of this coronal hole, it's unlikely this will happen again, experts said. This is a shame for fans of auroras, but it's probably good news for planetary defense.
Fuck
as
yeah.
strong geomagnetic storms can wreak havoc on
Hey, if you want to see auroras, watch it on video. Don't want Earth to be atmosphere to be destroyed, man. Come on.
satellites, infrastructure, and radio signals. Still,
For
it's
babies
always
and
difficult
beers.
to predict space weather accurately. Scientists are really behind with our prediction and forecasting capabilities
Yeah,
for
they
space
are.
weather.
Yeah, they are.
That's why they are working very hard to understand space weather, with the help of theoretical physics, plasma simulations on supercomputers.
I think Cold Truth, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we don't like normally we only have like what just a couple days, right? I mean hell there's like I think comets, hell that last comet that went between the Earth and Moon. We didn't even know about that. I think that was like from a amateur that found it coming or something, and then the scientists were like, huh? The one that passed between Earth and the Moon. I mean, auroras look cool, but I don't like what they do to the atmosphere, man. You know, you get a big enough one, next thing you know, the atmosphere's deteriorating and good luck surviving.
And cutting-edge observation with the latest spacecraft, such as the joint ESA-NASA mission Solar Orbiter.
We ain't colonized Mars yet. That was a really cool video. And check out this other one too. Oh, come on, YouTube. Don't bug out. Cool. All right. And the channel's still going too. So this is insider news, what it means. Just a little minute and 12-second video before we move on to something else here. I've got an
Two
aurora
giant
highlight.
holes have appeared in the surface of the sun over the last 2 weeks. They're 18 to 30 times the size of Earth. They're called coronal holes, but they're actually just cooler areas that don't glow as bright as others. That's why they look black. They can send 1.8 million miles per hour solar winds toward our planet. These are different from winds on Earth, and we can't actually feel them.
1.8
They're a
million.
collection of charged particles that can interact with the Earth's magnetic field. The strong winds can also create geomagnetic storms that could potentially damage satellites. But at the moment, scientists say these winds will likely just reveal stunning northern lights. Every 11 years, the sun goes through periods of low and high activity in its solar cycle. Right now, the star is growing more active, so coronal holes are showing up. But they usually appear on the sun's poles. These particular ones are near the sun's equator, which is on the same plane as Earth. So there's a higher chance solar winds will come our way.
Mm-hmm.
Two giant holes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I didn't know it went as far down as Arizona, though. That's crazy shit. And then this is something about that Chinese balloon that we were talking about right after the East Palestine shit was able to transmit information. I mean, you kind of figured when it had them big solar panels hanging from it. My old man calls me Chicken Little.
Sources tell CNN that the Chinese spy balloon crossed over the U.S. earlier this year was capable of gathering intelligence and pictures from sensitive U.S. military sites and transmit that information in real time back to Beijing.
CNN
It's
national
crazy.
security reporter Natasha Bertrand is at the Pentagon. So, Natasha, what are you hearing from your sources?
Yeah, Donna, so we're told that this Chinese spy balloon that transited the U.S. back in February, it was actually able to capture some images and some signals intelligence from some of these military installations across the United States. Now, the U.S. is saying at this point that they do not believe that the Chinese spy balloon was able to collect anything more sensitive than, say, a Chinese satellite would that is constantly kind of orbiting above these sites. But there are important caveats to that, namely that the U.S. government still doesn't know how much it doesn't know. And that is because the Chinese spy balloon back in Beijing, the people controlling it, they were actually able to wipe a lot of the information on that spy balloon, kind of remotely erase it before the U.S. government was able to examine it, of course, after shooting it down. And so that raises a lot of questions, of course. If the Chinese government was able to remotely erase the content on that balloon, then what kind of intelligence was it able to gather that the U.S. does not yet know
Remotely
about?
erase.
Now, the Pentagon has faced a lot of questions about this today, and the Pentagon press secretary, or deputy press secretary, I should say, just took some questions on this, and she suggested that the balloon's path was, in fact, deliberate. Here's what she said.
Well, yeah.
We do know that the balloon was able to be maneuvered and purposely driven along its track, but not going to get into specific sites it was able to hover over. But what we did do is take precautionary steps to limit the intelligence value that it would be able to collect. And again, we took steps to protect our own military installations from foreign intelligence collection.
You guys are crazy.
So this is key, the U.S. arguing that they were able to mitigate some of the intelligence value that Beijing would have been able to collect from that spy balloon. But again, a lot is still unknown here as the FBI continues to investigate the balloon and, importantly, try to figure out, of course, what it was ultimately able to gather. Bill, Donna?
Yeah, definitely a lot of unanswered questions still. Natasha Bertrand, thanks so much.
I don't know. They already had that shit back. I mean, come on. It has big ass fucking solar things hanging down from it. It flew over some sensitive areas. I mean, come on. Let's be real. Let's see here. 9/11 survivor describes falling 22 stories. That'd be crazy. Let me see. Slain Florida woman's missing 2-year-old found in alligator's mouth. Ted Bundy. Oh, this is that Georgia teen we were talking about. Let me see what he has to say. He came out with a statement today.
All right, he is out of the hospital and thankful to be alive 13 days after Trent Lerkamp was dropped off at the emergency room, barely breathing. He is now seen here smiling in new photos. The 19-year-old suffering a horrifying assault at a party last month. He was hosed with water, bound in a chair, covered in spray paint. He had to spend several days in the ICE ventilator, and now, backed by family and public support, Trent is seeking justice. Brett Buffington has been tracking this from the very beginning for us on the ground in Glynn County, Georgia, and joins us now. Brett.
But Natasha, in the last 20 minutes, we just got a new update from police. They say they're continuing their investigation. We know they have evidence they collected during a search warrant in the morning after Trent showed up at the hospital. We also know they have cell phones. They're going through analyzing, trying to recover
those
data
videos
from that. But they also said they're trying to dispel a lot of rumors here in this community, including one that Trent was defecated on. They say that's not true, that Trent was forced to drink battery acid. That's not true. And they also say that no one being questioned in this case is related to anyone who works at this police department. But I can tell you, Trent is out of state, recovering at a hospital, or a treatment facility, I should say, certainly for those emotional injuries left behind by this. I got a chance to talk with his grandmother just briefly on the phone yesterday. She told me that Trent is a loving, sweet, caring 19-year-old who was taken advantage of. Listen, there are a lot of questions here. in this community, why Trent kept going back to that house. He was attacked there at least twice, we know from the police report. But Trent's family told me that those teens that are being questioned by police threatened him. Listen, he gave a statement to us yesterday. It was recorded from his family, sent to me. Here's what he said, promising justice.
Hey everybody, thank you for all the wish, all the support and caring. I'm alive and doing well, and I'm recovering. Just know it's gonna be a long time for me through the trauma. But one day, hopefully within the next few months or so, I might be back. But just will be.
A very important thing that Trent's family wanted to clear up is that he's not on the autism spectrum. That was just one of the rumors that's shared quickly on social media here. Here's how this is working. The district attorney's office will take this case when the police department has it put together. That is what they are working on right now, Natasha, continuing to try and meticulously put this together. The district attorney here in Glenn County will decide if anyone is charged.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
That's a crazy one. Like how, like, does anybody know the timeline of like how everything went down? Because I don't. It's crazy. Was Spy Balloon. Yeah, that's breaking news, right? We all knew that. Freaking nuts. All right, there's some other stuff here. Let me go to the April folder. I did find that that documentary I was talking about when it came to the, yeah, it's called Nova, Mind of a Serial Killer. I wonder, it's from 1992 also. That's old as hell. But Aaron Brockovich was on News Nation a few days ago. Obviously, it's a cover-up in East Palestine. We haven't talked about that for a while. There's some other episodes on here. I think this would be cool to like chill back and watch. Below, the true story of cocaine, a bear, and a crooked Kentucky cop. From a news channel. As like a chill back, kind of watch something if you're interested. Let's see, the Murdaugh. This got sent to me a couple days ago, how the Murdaughs controlled the people, the good old boy system from True Crime Design. Power, privilege, police influence. Got this link about Fucci, whatever. Mother of victim takes on Hell's Kitchen robbery gang. So I'm going to check out this video real quick here. Neons.
Yeah, some solace this week for the mother of John Umberger, 33-year-old political consultant who died last year under mysterious circumstances.
What?
Police found his body in an apartment he was staying at and initially ruled his death a drug overdose. But his phone and wallet were missing, and his family discovered around $20,000 drained from his bank account.
Whoa.
Umberger isn't the only one. A month ago, social worker Julio Ramirez was found dead in the back of a taxi cab. His friends and family say his bank account was drained too. Nearly a year later, this week, the NYPD and the district attorney indicted 6 suspects, saying they targeted more than a dozen people in nightclubs, drugging them, and then using cash apps on their phones to rob them of thousands
That's probably
of
what
dollars.
it is, Trey.
And there may be more victims. Linda Clary is here, the mother of John Umberger. Linda, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your son. And at the same time, I can't tell you what an honor it is to his legacy of everything you went through to prove to the police that it wasn't a drug overdose. It's really, it's a remarkable tale. Take us through those moments where you were trying to prove that to them and how you did it.
Well, there were certain things that just didn't fit with who John was, with the narrative they do convey to us. And so my niece and my two sisters, as well as my boyfriend and 3 great friends of John's, all went to New York City soon after hearing of his body being found to retrace his steps and claim his body. And so it was in retracing his steps and discovering certain key things where he didn't show up for the last cab that he ordered, not to mention that we all knew if John had been robbed, John is the last person who would go home in depression and take a bunch of drugs. That's on no level is that what John would do. So we did present to the burglary, robbery, sort of detectives at the 19th precinct, our timeline. We actually showed up, 7 of us, at the 19th precinct and said, we're here to meet with you. And I think they were kind of shocked. And we basically refused to leave until we met with them. It took 2.5 hours to wait, but we finally sat down, went over, ironically, in the complaint room is where they put us. It was a little room labeled complaint room. And we went in and shared with him our timeline and everything about it, as well as who we knew John to be. And the detective took note, he listened to us and proceeded. And then a homicide detective who has been a saving grace and the greatest blessing in this tragedy, homicide detective Randy Rose in this whole case.
Yeah.
He is exceptional, and we are just so grateful for NYPD and for him.
The power of a mother seeking justice. It's unbelievable. Hell's Kitchen robbery ring, organized robbery ring targets victims for financial gain. Suspects drug victims with a mixture of fentanyl, lidocaine, cocaine, and others. Suspect gained access to victims' phones by using facial recognition security features to gain access to banking data, etc. I could talk to you all hour. I've only just got another couple sentences for you. But
well, I want to just quickly say this in light of the last conversation you had. The people who are responsible for my son's death and responsible for Julio Ramirez's death and countless other deaths, these are people who have criminal records. They should not be on the streets. And this is a problem that all of us in this country need to deal with, because it's not like this was the first time they did it. They have rap sheets a mile long, and they are not safe. And until they are behind bars, no one in New York City is safe. And this is Alvin Bragg's job to keep New Yorkers safe, and he is failing. And I want to make that clear.
Oh, you definitely did. You did a better job than I would have done in the last segment. So thank you, ma'am. And I will say this: it's undoubtedly that you've saved a lot of lives. Because as you point out, these people weren't going to stop until someone did, and you did. It's good to see you. We're going to keep following.
Wow, that's crazy. Drugging them and also then using their face for facial recognition to get in their bank accounts. What the heck? Yeah, is this Cassie? Is this what the story is? About a crooked Kentucky cop, a bear, and cocaine? Is that what the movie's based on? I don't know. This thing came out 3 weeks ago from some news station in Louisville.
I'm here, CJ.
Okay. Just making sure.
I just have it on mute. I had it on mute because I was outside.
Oh, you're fine.
The traffic's pretty loud out there.
Yeah. I thought maybe you fell asleep.
No. I'm not asleep.
Yeah. But yeah, is this Cassie? Is this the same story, or is this something different? And let me see. I'm gonna check out this Erin Brockovich video. This is the first time I heard from her in a while. And then Anna Walsh's husband charged with murder. We'll check that out too.
All too often, you know what
man.
happens. The media gets there, shows you what's wrong, but then it leaves, but the problem persists. And that's what's happening in East Palestine. Monday marks the 2-month anniversary of the toxic train derailment there in Ohio. and people aren't feeling good. They haven't been feeling good. They don't know why. They don't have places to live. And we've stayed there because it matters. They held a town hall today because they feel they've been forgotten. And they have been. So let's bring in East Palestine resident Jamie Wallace, who just left the town hall today, and environmental activist Erin Brockovich. It's good to have you both. Jamie, I start with you.
There was
how's your
another
little
town
girl?
hall.
How's your mom? And how is the situation at the town hall?
There was another town hall. Did they not? Is she allowed back? I knew that she wasn't allowed to go back because they labeled her a terrorist. But it sounds like they had another town hall.
My mother's fine. She's been out of town since they did the voluntary relocation. I have not taken my daughter back to East Palestine since the night of the derailment, but other people are not fine. Once they started digging up these railroad tracks and released the gases into our town again, people that weren't sick before are now getting sick. The latest report is people's ears are starting to bleed.
Jeez.
Oh my
What was it like at the
gosh.
town hall meeting?
The town hall meeting, it was actually put on by the community, by River Valley Organizing and a couple of other community members. We were able to get the mayor there and a representative from the EPA. Norfolk Southern had originally agreed to be there, and then they bailed out on us. It was actually a huge success. It was a small group of people that got questions answered. The gentleman from the EPA, the mayor were both very forthcoming, very open. It was more conversation-like. So it actually was one of the best meetings that I've been to thus far.
Good. Conversation can lead to change. Erin Brockovich, in your study of the situation, what do you believe are the major issues and your biggest concern? I think you muted yourself, Erin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh my gosh. Hello. You ask a big
We all
question, and
do
there's
that,
a whole
even
lot
me.
of things that are going wrong out in East Palestine ever since that train derailment happened. You know, my concern has always been for the community, and you know, they're really stepping up to the plate. They're speaking up, they're asking questions, they're being critical thinkers. I mean, because there is such misinformation, and here we have a situation. Everybody saw that huge explosion. We all know that there was chemicals in it. We know there's vinyl chloride. We know there's dioxin in it. Yet at the same time, they want to tell everyone it's safe. But at the same time, what they're surprised that people aren't doing well. So they evacuate them. They bring them back. The water's damaged. The water's not damaged. They're going to remediate. Now they're going to move them again. But yet they continue to tell them it's all safe. And it's got to be super frustrating for these communities and these people. And I see it happen over and over and over again. The one people we should be listening to are those in the community and what they're experiencing. Yet we continue to ignore them. We continue to gaslight them. We want them to believe, oh, this is never going to happen. And you're right when you say this is something that we will have to follow up on consistently. We're not going to have all the answers today. It will take time for all the information to come out. And in the meantime, these people have to be their own eyes, their own ears, trust their own instincts. And my gosh, if they're sick, get out. If you don't want to come back, don't. And so they're taking the appropriate steps in a very frustrating, miscommunicated, very confusing, frankly, we're watching in real time, a cover-up.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com. News.
Yeah, ha 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 ha, cherry. I do that more than I like to admit. I do want to mention something as well. Bland Richter and Sandy Smith are pleased to announce the offering of a $35,000 reward for information or a tip that leads to the arrest of persons who are responsible for the death of Stephen Smith. We'll be covering that case on Thursday. These reward funds came from the GoFundMe money that was raised. To those who have knowledge of how Stephen died or was killed, please come forward. So there's a $35,000 reward. And I will share this, and it has the contact information on it for that. Yep, the United States is suing Norfolk Southern. So next, I'm going to go to Anna Walsh's husband being charged with murder. This came out a couple days ago.
Missing Massachusetts mother Anna Walsh has not been seen in nearly 4 months. Her husband Brian now indicted for murder by a grand jury. Anna was last seen alive early January 1st, the couple hosting a New Year's Eve party at their home. She then apparently left town for a work trip, but was reported missing by her employer a few days later. News Nation's Sloan Glass joins us live. Sloan, what does this charge mean for Brian Walsh?
Well, Nicole, this is just the latest development in a murder mystery that has gripped the town of Cohasset, Massachusetts. A mother of 3 mysteriously goes missing, her husband charged with murder.
Months after Brian Walsh first appeared stone-faced at his arraignment back in January, a Norfolk County grand jury now indicting the Massachusetts dad for the murder of his wife, Anna Walsh, misleading a police investigation, and improperly transporting a human body.
The grand jury has to say that there is reasonable cause, enough reason to move forward to trial. And so that's what happened here.
If convicted, Brian Walsh faces life in prison without parole. He maintains his innocence. As the case continues to make its way through the legal system, the Norfolk DA office saying there is still a long road ahead, putting out a statement that reads in part, this is only a step in a long process during which Brian Walsh enjoys constitutional presumption of innocence and all of the protections afforded him under the Constitution. Anna Walsh, a mother of 3 and a real estate manager, disappeared from her home on New Year's Day. Her husband, Brian, later accused of killing her and dismembering her body before disposing the remains in a dumpster.
Surveillance shows the defendant's Volvo, as well as a male fitting the defendant's appearance, exit a car near the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster carrying a garbage bag. He's leaning, and it appears to be heavy as he has to heft it into the dumpster.
Officials also found blood and a blood-stained knife in the couple's basement. And at a trash facility north of Boston, officials discovered Anna's boots and a purse from the last time she was seen, and a hacksaw matching Brian's DNA. Among other disturbing details, Brian Walsh alleged to have conducted grisly Google searches.
At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing.
Anna Walsh's body still hasn't been found, making the prosecution's case far from open and shut.
Any missing evidence will hurt the prosecution, and this is no different. But homicide prosecutors are uniquely talented in trying cases without a victim.
Nicole, the case now moves to the Norfolk Superior Court. The Norfolk DA telling News Nation that Brian Walsh is expected to be arraigned in the coming weeks. Until then, he remains behind bars and without bail.
Thank you for watching.
Good night, SRB. I'm going to be ending the show as well, since I'm getting on at 6:30 Central now. I'll be ending it a half an hour early as well. I'm going to go ahead and end the show. The parents of Ethan Chapin speak out for the first time with 4 News Now. It's probably a continuation of when they were interviewing them about the tulips and such. So I'll go ahead and play this, and we will end the show on that. Thanks for hopping up in panel, Kib Kitty. Appreciate it. Hope you get some good rest. Hope everybody has a better day tomorrow. A lot of people had a crappy day today.
I spent my day shopping.
Oh, okay.
For 4 hours.
Well, that's always fun.
That's my therapy.
All right, we're gonna end this on this video. Thanks for hopping in, everybody. And then if everything goes well tomorrow with the weather and such, I don't even know when it's coming through. I need to double check the forecast, but we'll be on tomorrow night talking Flora Fire. So if you don't know anything about it, make sure you check out the episode I had with Jinx last week, and it's time stamped in there, so you can skip past the Delphi if you'd like and just go straight to the Flora Fire. It's pretty crazy. So we'll be learning more about that tomorrow night. And thanks everybody for hanging out.
That's going to be a great show tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait.
Today we're hearing from Stacy Chapin. Her son Ethan was one of 4 University of Idaho students murdered last November. The devastated mom saying about her son, "I'd love to hug him. I'd give anything just to be able to hug him."
And we're hearing from his dad, Jim Chapin, as well. It's been 5 months since the murder, and for the Chapins, many mornings have been spent with tears in their coffee. ABC's Kana Whitworth has more.
Pushing through the earth, the yellow and white tulips bearing the name Ethan Smile, meeting the sun for the first time.
It's just turned into something so special, something tangible that represents him now.
Nearly 5 months ago, the 20-year-old was murdered along with his girlfriend, Xana Kernodle, and her roommates, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, in that off-campus home at the University of Idaho.
It's tough. Tough not having here. Stace and I get up and watch the sunrise and drink our coffee and cry in your coffee.
Ethan's parents, Jim and Stacy, speaking out for the first time.
I love to hug him. I'd give anything to just be able to hug him.
You just always make
one
sure
more time.
you just always hug your kid.
Ethan, the eldest of triplets, so full of joy. He spent his last day on this earth with his siblings, the 3 seen here at his sister Maisie's sorority formal, before spending time with Xana at his Sigma Chi fraternity, and then Xana's home at 1122 King Street, where they were murdered just hours later. That house set to be demolished.
You think stuff like that never happens.
You do. You think it happens to other people. I'm telling you, if it can happen to us, it can happen to anybody.
Both Maisie and Hunter are now back at school, preparing to graduate without their brother.
Hunter, he was kind of Ethan's wingman.
I mean, you realize when you're a triplet, you have spent your whole life together, the 3 of them.
Stacy and Jim lean on each other in what they're calling a shuttersome year of firsts, doing things they've always done, but for the first time without Ethan, preparing for milestones.
The one we have coming up first, 21st birthday.
That's going to be
We have
tough.
talked about the kids' 21st birthday forever.
We have.
That's going to be tricky.
Yeah, that is going to be a tricky time.
Yep.
Here at Tulip Valley Farms, Ethan worked in the fields planting bulbs, and now he's being remembered with his own.
Ethan Smile. There have been, right now, 80,000 bulbs sold.
The Chapins have big intentions to give back to both their communities in Skagit Valley, Washington, where Ethan grew up, and Moscow, Idaho, with scholarships funded by proceeds from the Ethan Smile Foundation.
We've created something that is good, that Ethan would love. He loved people. He loved a great adventure.
Yeah.
And he was inclusive. If we could touch as many lives as he touched in 20 years in our lifetime, the world would be a better place.
The family knows they have hard days ahead. At the end of June, the suspect in these murders, Brian Koberger, will appear in court in Moscow, Idaho for a preliminary hearing. But Stacy says in the meantime, as she gets pictures from people who have planted those tulip bulbs, watching them grow really helps. And they've sold some 80,000 so far. Kana Whitworth, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Wow. 80,000 so far. That's a lot. That's a lot. 80,000 so far, and they just started.
Yeah, that is a lot. I better get my order in.
Well, I'm sure they'll have plenty. They have a huge farm. No. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Be back tomorrow night. Can't wait to learn some more about that case. definitely love to have Cold Truth on again too. Maybe learn some more about the new updates with Ray and Nicole Bowen case. That's interesting as well. That's kind of linked to it. Well, it is linked to it, I suppose. But I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping up, Kid Kitty. Thank you, everybody, for
You're
hanging out.
welcome.
Hope you have a peaceful and positive evening. And enjoy the jam as we exit the show. I'm liking this new jam here. I might do a different song every night. We'll see. Good night, everybody.
Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.